mynews.studio.
Picture this: a Spix's macaw chick, vivid blue, hatching in a European zoo. For a species once declared extinct in the wild, can the birth of a single chick really mark a shift in their future?
It's November 18th, 2025. Let's get right to it. What's behind these surprising recoveries of species that many thought were lost for good?
There's actually a mix of things at play: focused conservation, international teamwork, and being able to adapt when setbacks happen. With the Spix's macaw, for instance, there were years of effort, over 100 eggs, but hardly any were fertilized. Success only came after constant adjustments to their care, nutrition, and a lot of patience. Finally, the chick hatched at Paradise Zoo.
But that's just the start, isn't it? I've read that first-time macaw parents rarely manage to raise their chicks on their own.
Right, and that's what happened here. The chick needed round-the-clock care from experts because the parent birds didn't know how to handle it. Hand-rearing was essential. It's a small win, but it took years of learning and refining the process.
This isn't just about parrots, though. I saw that sea turtles in Greece have had record nesting numbers this year. Still, they're up against things like predators, flooding, and heavy tourism. Even with protective measures, about a third of nests on Romanos Beach were lost to predators.
That's actually where adaptive management becomes important. If natural nests are at risk, conservationists move eggs to incubators or safer spots. Volunteers play a huge role, and there's always pressure to get stronger legal protections and more resources.
Did these approaches always work, or were there situations where things didn't go as planned?
Not everything worked out. Some reintroduction efforts failed because the animals lacked survival skills or because problems like poaching and habitat loss weren't tackled. There were also debates over moving Spix's macaws to unapproved facilities, which raised concerns about oversight and the genetics of the population.
So, even with breakthroughs, like a chick hatching or turtles nesting, things can fall apart if support or collaboration fades.
Yes, that's true. For example, in Greece, scientists warn that without government backing, even these turtle gains could disappear. In Bangladesh, tortoise releases only succeeded after they built local support and set up solid anti-poaching steps first.
With so many species facing threats, how do groups pick which animals or habitats to focus on?
They set priorities by looking at how threatened a species is, its impact on the ecosystem, and whether an intervention is likely to succeed. Sometimes they choose so-called umbrella species. Protecting one animal can end up conserving an entire habitat. Local involvement and what's actually practical matter too.
Is that why we're seeing eagles returning to Toronto and some Australian mammals reintroduced to their native areas this year?
That's right. Those are examples where focused efforts, restoring habitats, enforcing protections, working with communities, made a comeback possible. But resources are always limited, so organizations rely on risk assessments and action plans to set their priorities.
So the takeaway seems to be that conservation is effective, but only if there's patience, adaptability, and collaboration. Would you say that's accurate?
Yes, I would. These stories show that extinction isn't a foregone conclusion, but they also remind us that progress is fragile if we ignore root issues like habitat loss or funding gaps.
If someone asks whether this means we're winning the battle against biodiversity loss, what would you tell them?
We're making headway, but it's rarely straightforward. Every win gives us lessons to build on, but ongoing effort is needed to keep those successes and expand them.
Thanks for breaking down these stories. So from macaws to turtles to eagles, it's clear. Coordinated, science-based work can bring species back, but only if we keep learning and working together.
Thank you for tuning in. These examples matter because they highlight what's possible and remind us that every conservation achievement requires commitment from all sides.
Today's episode was brought to you by mynews.studio. You can try it now, free of charge.